Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to our Saturday video, where we will be featuring the Jutland in an upgrade and commander build video. Now, in starting this video off, I totally said something wrong in yesterday's video, which is going to be the Friday battle that is in the description below, if you want to see this upgrade and commander build in action. For some reason, in the video, I said that the Jutland has two dual main battery turrets in the front, each housing two guns. And then I said in the midsection of the ship that it only has one turret with one gun in it, like here. But you can clearly see that it's here. I have no idea what I was talking about. I swore I just played a destroyer, or I have been playing a destroyer that had two main battery guns in the front and then one in the midsection of the ship. But I can't even find the ship I'm talking about and looking at all the ships I have in the game. So totally apologies for that. A typical flimsy move. If you're here long enough, you know that I pull a flimsy move every now and then. So, with that out of the way, let's get cracking. So, we're talking about the Tier 9 British destroyer, the Jutland. For those of you who've been around long enough, you know we like to first discuss what type of destroyer are we talking about. There's three types of destroyers. You have destroyers that are torpedo destroyers, like the torpedo line of the Japanese destroyers, like Shimakaze. You have gunboat lines, like the French and Russian destroyers. And then you have a hybrid, which is a mix of both. And the British destroyers fall in that hybrid category. Sort of like their American counterpart with American destroyers. But the Jutland is a hybrid destroyer. She has good guns. She's got these 3x2 113mm that reload right now with the build I have every 4 seconds. And then her torpedoes have a 10-kilometer range. And she gets 2 racks of 5 here and here. Make sure I'm saying things correctly. Don't want to tell you wrong. Yeah, 2x5, 533mm at 10 kilometers. So she definitely is hybrid. I play her more around her guns, per se, and her concealment. So we'll talk about that as we do go over the upgrade and the commander build. So let's first talk about the modules real quick. You get 2 upgrades to the modules. You get the Jutland Hull B. Basically what you get is you get more survivability. You get a little bit more AA defense, nothing to go home and brag about. And a little bit more maneuverability. So that is a definite plus. So when I do the module upgrades, I always go for the hull upgrade first. So that's what I recommend. And then you get a gun upgrade, which is the Mark 9 Modification 2 gunfire control system. It gets your main battery firing range out to 12.5 kilometers versus that 11.4 kilometers. So anything helps there. So you get 6 slots for the upgrades. So let's dive in. So the first slot, I recommend the main armaments modification 1. What this does is it reduces the risk of your main battery and your torpedo tubes from becoming incapacitated by -20%. It also improves your main battery and torpedo tube survivability by plus 50%. And if your main battery or torpedo tube should be incapacitated, the repair time is reduced by -20%. So I think the other day I was playing Jutland and I got my guns knocked out from a battleship secondary. So anything helps. As I was charging, I was quite close to the battleship. I think it was in Montana. So you want to keep your main battery online. You also get the auxiliary armaments modification 1, which is for your secondaries, which you don't have as a destroyer. And then you have your AA mount survivability, but the AA, it just sucks. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. You have the 5.8 kilometer range. And, I mean, yeah, you have it, but it's not really worth investing in because this upgrade is so much better. And then you have the magazine modification 1, which reduces the risk of your ship's magazine detonating by -70%. But I always recommend mounting the Juliet Charlie combat signal, which completely eliminates the risk of your ship's magazine detonating if you're in something like clan battles, random battles, ranked, or whatever other type of player mode you're going to be, where it's player versus player. I tend to always recommend taking the Juliet Charlie combat signal. For slot 2 of the upgrades, you have damage control system modification. Usually you take this more for cruisers or even battleships, or definitely battleships. Then you have engine room protection, and what this does is it reduces the risk of your engine from becoming incapacitated, as well as steering gears. It reduces that chance by -20%, and if they should become incapacitated, the repair time is reduced by -20%. If you don't have the coal to buy the hydroacoustic search option, I always go for engine room protection on your destroyer, because your maneuverability is important to keep that intact as much as possible. If you have the coal, when it comes to Jutland, I recommend the hydroacoustic search modification 1. It's a special upgrade that you get in the armory for coal. What this does is it increases the action time of the hydroacoustic search and short range hydroacoustic search consumable plus 20%. The Jutland, the British destroyers, they have the short range hydroacoustic search consumable. So what that means is that your detection of torpedoes and ships is 3 kilometers. And when we increase the action time, you can see right now we're getting up to 216 seconds of action time when we add that special upgrade on. And then you have the 2-minute reload time, 120 seconds. So when you have this skill mounted, that means, like as you saw in yesterday's video, we were detecting a lot of venom torpedoes coming past us towards our friendly battleships back behind us. And also torpedoes that might be launched towards us in the smoke screen. So this is really, to me, is a really important special upgrade to get for the Jutland. It's in the armory. You should have an option to actually click on it if you, from here to take you into armory if you don't have it equipped on your ship. And it is for, I think, was it 17,000 coal? Is that what it goes for? Yeah, 17,000 coal. So it's here. So if you don't have it and it shows you the option, you click on it, it'll take you here. And so it tells you what it does. It goes for slot 2, but you can use a 25% coupon and only purchase it for 12,750 coal. I always wait for the coupon to buy a special upgrade, just because coal is quite the commodity resource, and you get to save up coal towards something like a commander, which is what I'm doing right now as of recording this video. Slot 3, you have multiple options. You have the main battery modification 2, but hey, we're a destroyer. Our turret traverse time is already pretty good, 10.3 seconds. So don't really need that. You have the AA guns modification. Jutland is not a destroyer that you are running for AA. That's something more like the Friesland or the Groningen, the new... the copycat of Friesland. They have really good AA at tier 9. Then you have aiming systems modification 1, which you can see that's what I have mounted. What this does is that increases the firing accuracy of the main battery, also accelerates the traverse speed of torpedo tubes, and extends the firing range of your secondary battery, which you don't have a secondary battery again. But you can see our maximum dispersion of the main battery shells is -7%. So that means we're getting tighter grouping with our main battery shells. So to me, anything that helps with that is very helpful, especially with Jutland being a hybrid destroyer, which I build more leaning towards the guns versus the torpedoes, since the guns, you always have the guns every 4 seconds versus having to wait for the torpedoes to reload every, right now, 133 seconds. So that's how I build, and this is a really good skill. And because also the torpedo tube's traverse speed means that you're able to swing your torpedoes around a bit quicker. You also have the torpedo tubes modification 1, improves the efficiency of torpedo tubes. So your torpedo speed is going to be buffed by +5%. So it's going to add a couple knots, like 2 or 3 knots, I'm thinking, on. Then you also get an increased buff for the torpedo tube traverse speed. And then the risk of your torpedo tubes from becoming incapacitated is reduced by -40%. So with this, means that your torpedoes are less likely to be knocked out in battle. So I know some people who like to take their British destroyers and make more of a torpedo build out of them. that is an option. Just depends on you. For myself, I like to focus on the guns. You also get the smoke generator modification 1. This is another special upgrade. What this does is increases the consumable action time of your smoke generator. So now it's going to, when I activate it, it means it's going to be activated for plus 30%. So basically it means right now my consumable action time is 10 seconds. So plus 30% means that's going to change the action time to plus 13 seconds. It's basically is what that boils down to. But the smoke screen dispersion time is reduced by -5%. So right now the smoke screen dispersion time is 40 seconds. So take 5% of that off. So we're talking 2 seconds. So 38 seconds, if I'm doing math correctly in my head. So yeah, so you could have that, but I think in my mind, your aiming systems modification 1 would be my first choice. Torpedo tubes modification 1 would be my second choice. For slot 4, with the British destroyers, you actually you already get, you get a built-in propulsion enhancement, or I think it's, what do they call it? It's on the American destroyers, because some players are confused why this isn't an option. Propulsion modification 1, and so what this does is that the time taken to reach full engine power in accelerating is -50%. I don't know what the percentage is for the British destroyers, but basically you already have a built-in propulsion modification. So then that makes you only get 3 options to choose from instead of the typical 4 now as of update 10.8. And so what I do go for and recommend is the rudder shift steering gears modification. So what this does is that your rudder shift time is reduced by -20%. So now our rudder shift time is actually quite good. It's 3.4 seconds. That's something I think Kolsik is a little less at 2.9. And she's really known for her maneuverability. So when you improve that on the Jutland, it's really helpful in avoiding incoming fire, avoiding torpedoes, if you need to kind of maneuver your ship, get a little bit over to avoid them, so on and so forth. You have the damage control system modification 2. This really is for battleships or cruisers. Don't really need to take this for destroyer. You get depth charge modification, so you get 2 more depth charges, but as of right now of 10.8, the submarines are only in co-op and ranked. So in the ranked, so this would be only useful in co-op or ranked, basically is what I'm trying to say right now. But that depends on if you're going up against submarines at all, right? So if you're playing randoms right now, you're not going to see any submarines, so steering gears modification 1 is the way to go. Even if, for me, if you're going up, there's going to be a lot of submarines in the future of World of Warships, I still lean more towards the steering gears modification, just because I think it's more useful overall when you're going up against carriers with planes, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, submarines, versus this only impacts submarines. Slot 5, you have the torpedo lookout system. You have hydroacoustic search, so you really don't need this. And if you're a destroyer and you kind of get a feel for where, even when your hydroacoustic search is down, hey, there's a destroyer over here, there might be torpedoes coming, and so you angle appropriately. You don't really need this. So something better like the concealment system modification 1, which reduces detectability range of the ship and from aircraft carrier squadrons, is really good on the Jutland. I really recommend it because one of Jutland's strengths is her concealment. So right now we have the concealment without a camo on is 5.9. We hop in, we'll throw the Battle of Jutland camouflage on, because why not? Now we're down to 5.7. So that is really good for the tier. And that gives you competitive edge because you're a knife fighter, destroyer. Jutland is a destroyer that usually gets to control the engagements with other enemy destroyers because you've got that short burst smoke generator. 10-second action time. It only is up for 40 seconds, and it has a pretty quick reload time of 70 seconds. So you usually get your smoke back up pretty quick. So you get to control your engagements. So you get to control your engagements even better in Jutland when you go for the concealment build. So I really think this is a must on Jutland, just because of how much this helps you. And it also gives you the dispersion of shells fired by enemies attacking your ship plus 5%, which means that enemy ships firing at your ship are not as, their grouping shots won't be quite as accurate. There's a little bit of a nerf to them, but it's a buff for you, meaning it's harder for them to hit you. You get steering gears modification 2 as another option. Your redshift time, negative 40%. Steering gears repair time, negative 80%. Yeah, that could be an interesting build, but I still feel concealment is the best way to go, just given Jutland's concealment that you get already, and her playstyle. You also get ship consumables modification 1, increases the consumable action time plus 10%. Still, I feel concealment's the best way to go. If you didn't want to go with concealment, then the second option I would say is steering gears modification 2, but concealment. It's good. It's really fun when you get to use the conceal build on Jutland. Slot 6. You can see I have mounted the main battery modification 3. What this does is it reduces the reload time of the main battery guns. So our main battery reload time is negative 12%. Our main battery traverse speed takes a nerf. It's slower to traverse, negative 13%. So you saw that we were sitting at, I believe it was a 4-second reload time, and then our 180-degree turn time is 10.3 seconds. So that's not bad for the turn time turret traverse. And I feel, the DPM is more the route I recommend in going on Jutland, because when you are in those knife fights with enemy destroyers, just your guns reloading that much quicker can sometimes mean the difference between life or death. You also have torpedo tubes modification 2. The reload time is reduced by negative 15%, but the risk of torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated is plus 50%. Because the reload time already on the torpedoes, as of the build I have right now, is 133 seconds. So we're waiting over 2 minutes for torpedoes to come back up. But if you were to take this, see 133, shave that much time off. What you're getting down underneath 2 minutes with that, which is helpful. Still, I am the type of destroyer player. I'm speaking for myself because I'm a bit biased. I like to invest with how I believe the British tech tree destroyer line. I like to invest more into the guns than the torpedoes, because the torpedoes, they take a good bit to reload, and just having that higher DPM with the main battery, I believe, is much more beneficial in helping you utilize Jutland to her full capacity, where, I mean, you can play other destroyer nation lines or destroyers in general that play the torpedo role even better than what Jutland does. But it's still an option. Like I said, I know some players that do more of a torpedo build with Jutland. She's a hybrid destroyer, so you can swing her either way. You have gunfire control system modification 2. This extends the firing range of the main battery plus 16%. The range already on the guns of the Jutland is pretty good when you get the second module upgrade, 12.5 kilometers. If you try to build that range even out farther, you're gonna have a harder time landing those shells, just because of the shell travel time. And if you're wanting to play at long range Jutland, I'd be kind of scratching my head why. Like, just go play a cruiser or something that has better shell velocity and shells get there quicker, so on and so forth, if you're going to play that far away. So I don't recommend this upgrade. The main battery so far is the best of these three. And I still would say so, even with this fourth upgrade option, this is a AA upgrade. Again, other destroyers play the role of AA destroyers better than Jutland, so I think you should invest what Jutland does best, which is knife fighting, contesting cap areas, screening with the short range hydroacoustic search, picking up torpedoes for friendlies like you saw in yesterday's video, versus trying to go more an AA build route. Jutland just isn't designed for that. She's got all right AA, but it's nothing to go home about. Let's see what it even ranges as. Yeah, 52. Or something like the Fletcher has 60. So, I mean, Fletcher AA already better. Then something, you even get up to Friesland, just to compare. Come on. 80, right? So even Friesland, even though she has good AA, she still struggles in a sense, especially against tier 10 carriers, and can still somewhat struggle against tier 8 carriers. But she does better against tier 8 than tier 10 naturally. Besides the point, armaments. You got the good British HE, the good British AP, torpedoes, the depth charges. Her fire setting chance, without adding any flags on, is 8%. So I think we can get that up to 9%. Should be these two guys, or maybe it's even a little higher than 9. No, it's 9. That's helpful because you have the consumable of being the repair party. I mount the India Delta flag on Jutland when I take her out for battle, because now I'm going to get more HP back per second with that flag mounted. The short range hydroacoustic search, we talked about that already. You also get a combat signal to increase the duration by plus 10%. So even if we throw that on as an example, you can see we went from 216 to 237.6 seconds. So getting close to 4 minutes of the consumable action time. So we'll leave that combat signal on. And you do get the X-Ray Papa Uno 1. The action time of smoke generator consumable plus 15%. And you can see now we're up to that 11.5 seconds. So yeah, that's the consumable build, and the consumables makes Jutland really feisty, I would say, as a tier 9 destroyer to go up against, especially between the short range hydroacoustic search and her having that repair party. Keeps you in the fight longer. Alright, so let's hop into the commander build. So you can see I have bad cap. I think I was able to get him through a combat mission. I don't remember now. It's been a while. Sometimes players ask me, hey, how did you get that commander? Then I try to remember, and sometimes I'm wrong. But I think it was through a combat mission. Or, no. It was through a campaign. I think. No, not a campaign. Collection. Gotta keep my... So I think there's a collection that gives you bad cap. So you can check the collections out and just see what is the final reward. And I saw there's a collection I'm pretty sure that I got bad cap from. Let's see if we can just find it for you real quick. I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't take very long. Naval aviation, I just want to make sure not to skip it. Okay, someone's going to ask and then I'll have to come in, but I can just show you now. And if it's not a collection, I'm going to feel dumb. Yeah, there he is, right here. Of course, it's the last one. Bad advice behind the scenes collection. So, this is where you get him through a collection. Now you know, now I don't feel dumb because I did just confirm that. So, to the commander. So, for 10-point commander, I recommend it's usually 99% all the time. It's the bread and butter build. The bread and butter build for a 10-point destroyer commander is preventive maintenance, which reduces the risk of your modules from becoming incapacitated, which is super vital on a destroyer. Then last stand. What this does is if your engine or your steering gears get knocked out, they'll remain somewhat partially able to sustain speed and maneuverability. Because last thing you want to be is a destroyer dead in the water and people are shooting you and your engine's knocked out or your steering gear's knocked out and you're just doing circles or something. Really frustrating. So you want to take last stand. Survivability expert, because this increases your health pool for each ship tier by plus 350. So you can see that gets us up to the 21,550. Really, really good. You need this, because this can be a difference between losing a game and winning a game. I'm speaking from experience. Concealment expert. This reduces the ship's detectability range by -10% and ship detectability for submarines when underwater by -10%. So this gets us down to that really nice 5.7 kilometer detectability range by sea, and then you can see 2.6 by air, and then the assured detectability range 2 kilometers as always. So the concealment option build on Jutland, like this is really what you want to do with Jutland, in my opinion. So from here, where do we go? Next, see, you could go for Superintendent or Adrenaline Rush as your 13-point build. It's really up to you what you feel like you want. What Superintendent does is it gets you up from 6 smoke screens to 7 smoke screens, from 3 short-range hydroacoustic searches to 4, from 2 repair parties to 3 repair parties. I haven't been playing Jutland. I've been playing a good amount thus far. I mean, it's no game-breaking number since I just got it a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I have had battles where I've used all 3 heals. So, just with my playstyle and so on and so forth. So for me, Superintendent is really valuable. So that could be your 13 points. And then you get Adrenaline Rush. It's an attack skill. For each 1% of HP lost, your main battery reload time is reduced. Your torpedo tube reload time is reduced. Your continuous AA damage gets buffed. So you're getting a little bit more AA damage. But you've likely taken some damage to your AA guns on the ship. Interesting to note, I've been on the public test server looking at update, what will be coming through in update 10.9. And it'll tell you when your Adrenaline Rush gets activated. So right now you're just assuming like, okay, I've lost some health, so Adrenaline Rush should be kicking in. And usually you can see that if your guns are reloading a little bit faster, your torpedoes are reloading a little faster. Now it tells you, hey, your Adrenaline Rush is activated, it's working now. So that's nice. So I'm assuming that that's going to be similar for your can be activated skills. That'll tell you that, hey, this skill's activated now. So we'll see if that holds out to be true. So this is what you can see, how I have a 16-point commander build set up right now. The next commander skill I'm going for, you can see I'm at 18. I need 19 for my next one, which is the main battery and AA specialist. This reduces your main battery load time by -5%, which is the main reason why I want to take this skill. And then you actually get a little buff to continuous AA damage. So if we pop open artillery and AA defense, keep in mind we were at 4 seconds and our continuous damage with AA is 133. We go from 133 to 146. We go from 4 seconds to 3.8 seconds. So now our DPM just went up, and we're a little bit more dangerous to enemy destroyers, or just being able to pump out more damage per minute, maybe setting fires on a cruiser or battleship. So that's why I really like the main battery AA specialist for the main battery specifically, but it also pairs well with the Adrenaline Rush, because once you start losing health, you could be looking to get your main battery reload time down to 3.6, 3.5 seconds, something like that. I'm not mathematical on figuring out how exactly that works, but I know when my health gets down, that's the reload time that I would be looking at and taking the main battery and AA specialist skill. So this means that I have 2 points left. This is the 19-point build commander. So I have 2 points left. Where would I want to spend those? This is the option, the route I'm planning to go, and then I will give you some other possible build options. But I plan to go for Consumables enhancement as my last 2 points, my 21-point build. What this does is that increases the action time of the hydroacoustic search, and the engine boost, the smoke generator, sorry, consumable is increased by plus 10%. Now, Keep in mind, we have 2 combat signals on right now. That's buffed our smoke screen action time from 10 to 11.5 seconds. And then for our short-range hydroacoustic search, we went from 216 to it's 236 seconds, I believe. Let's just check to make sure, so then you can see the difference. 237.6, my mistake. So when we add this on, now 237 seconds with the combat signal. I'll do the math. 237.6 times 10%, which I was breaking the math down in my head, but I just want to make sure I get it right for you guys. That means an additional 23.76 seconds. So 237.6 plus 23.76 means that your short-range hydroacoustic search consumable is now active for 261.36 seconds. So that's 4 minutes and 21 seconds of having active hydroacoustic search. If you take the combat signal off, we'll just do that as an example real quick. That drops you, I think, just underneath 4 minutes. Oh yeah, I gotta actually look at the 216. Yeah, so you add 21.6 seconds on. So 237.6, which is just right under the 4-minute mark without that combat signal, which often that's what it looks like for me. And then your smoke, so you went from 11.5, just add 1.15. Now your action time of your smoke is 12.65 seconds. So for me, I like to, I like to invest in the main battery of Jutland because as she is a hybrid destroyer. You could go for the guns, you can go for the torpedoes, but to me the main battery is where I want to invest. And then secondly, where I want to invest beyond the concealment, the defense, survivability, is the consumables. Because Jutland, she's kind of like a Swiss Army knife to a certain extent, I would say, because you have the short burst smoke generator, you have the short range hydroacoustic search, and you have the repair party. So if I can, boost my consumables, if I can add a consumable, if I can increase the action time of these consumables, especially the short range hydroacoustic search, to me that's a win, and that makes me more dangerous to other enemy destroyers in particular. More of a threat on the battlefield. Now let's say you don't want to go this build, you want to go with a different build. The second most common build that I see with the British destroyers is an RPF build. So this means taking up, as an example, radio location. It's known as RPF in the past, but it changed with the commander rework. So what this does is that after the skill is mastered, the player will have the direction to the nearest enemy ship indicated to them. So you can see that you are the ship, this arrow, you're going this way, but there's this arc pointing off to the left, off your port side. That means the nearest enemy ship to you is this direction. So I know of destroyer players who like to run radio location because they want to specifically, they really want to embrace the role of hunting the destroyer and having that much more leg up, especially if their concealment is 5.7. It gives them that little bit more of a competitive edge over an enemy destroyer. So you could do this, and then let's say you wanted to keep Adrenaline Rush, you wanted to keep Superintendent. Where would I say invest your last 1 point? You can see on this build I don't have a priority target. I've gotten comfortable with the British destroyers not building with priority target. So I would say incoming fire alert would be an ideal 1 point option because it's going to warn you about a salvo fired at your ship from a distance of more than 4.5 kilometers. So let's say there's a cruiser, there's a battleship, and you also need to get this little incoming alert. That tells you need to take evasive maneuvers. Maybe you play with your throttle, where you slow down, juke the shots, or you slam the rudder, hard port, hard starboard, to avoid that incoming fire. So this would be a natural build option I could see here. Let's say you wanted adrenaline rush, you want radio location, but you're not as crazy about the superintendent because you're like, hey, I'd actually kind of want to invest in my guns, maybe a little bit more of the consumables. Then I would say drop superintendent and pick up the main battery AA, and you still have something like this going on, just minus superintendent with main battery and AA specialist. Yeah, that would be my recommendations if you're really wanting to have radio location. Naturally, the other option is the torpedo build option. So if you want to invest in torpedoes, fill the tubes is definitely the way to go, because now our torpedoes, instead of loading at 133 seconds, they reload at 119.7 seconds, so just under 2 minutes. And then you pair that with Adrenaline Rush, you can get your reload time, even down to 110 seconds, something like that. Then that means you have, I think you'd have 2 points left. Yeah. Then I would say go for Swift Fish. So your torpedo speed goes from 62 to 65 knots. And you can get that torpedo speed and your reload time of your torpedoes up even more. If you drop main battery, you go for torpedo tubes modification 2, and then you drop aiming systems modification 1 and go with torpedo tubes modification 1. So then you're gonna have torpedoes that are what, 68, 69 knots. They're gonna reload not 119 seconds, but they're gonna reload, so I'll do the math real quick, make sure it's 15%. Yeah. You're going to take almost 18 seconds off. So then you have just, I think, like, it'll be 100 seconds for reload time of your torpedoes. So yeah, but that just means you're giving up the options we discussed when it came to the main battery if you go this route. I think all three of these builds I've highlighted, between the main battery, with the consumables, the radio location, and then the torpedo. I think all of them are viable options. But for myself, this would be option number 1 I would recommend first. And then really it's up to you how you would want to rank like a radio location build or a torpedo build. Because I think they both kind of compete. I mean, there's different ways you can play Jutland. I think those are the 3 main ways with the commander's skills. And also, changing the upgrades around if you go for a torpedo build, if that's what you're wishing to do so with Jutland. But it's really up to you as the player. And of course, you can play around with different options when you get your commander higher enough. And then just simply click redistribute. But it's going to cost you, with a 18-point commander, right now that's going to cost me 400 doubloons or 160,000 elite commander XP. But that will vary. Like if you have a higher trained commander, that's going to cost more to redistribute his skills. So yeah, under 40 minutes. Good stuff. I don't think I really have anything else to add on or say in particular with Jutland, except that I really enjoy playing the British destroyers. They're really, really good hybrid destroyers. And I think they play a really cool role in World of Warships in contrast to other destroyers. So, with that being said, if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you are subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it as we continue to grow the community here with you. So, until next time, take care.